But anyways, let's move on now into our first topic of the podcast. And since Ricky is on the podcast, since this is going to be pretty much a Christmas podcast, we got to give him a present. We're talking about the Chicago Bulls and the NBA draft. And we're pretty much talking about, you're throwing me off. We're talking about,
do you like my succulent draft move? Like,
wow.
I'm just dancing over here, Sean.
You guys wanted him back. I'm blaming you.
Never did I want to hear him say that word.
The topic today is, do the Bulls need a top 5 pick in the NBA draft this year? Obviously, right now, 7-3 in their past 10 games. They've been on fire, had that 7-game win streak. Dave and I talked about Nico being hot as hell. He was a wet boy for us in the last week.
That's the beginning of the streak.
Yes, so, I mean, they've been absolutely on, or was it last week? 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
It was last week?
It was one of them.
Just last week.
But Bulls are on absolute fire right now. Now they're 4th in the tankathon standings, and they've been falling quickly and rapidly. And Dave pointed out, right now they're only 2 games behind the Los Angeles Lakers, and they could be 11th if they win pretty much 2 more games and keep going on this streak. So right now, the Bulls are kind of taking them outside of that idea of that tank, and right now they're pushing away from that number 1 pick. So looking at this, looking at the Bulls roster, Zach LaVine coming back in 2 to 3 weeks, seeing the way that Chris Dunn's been playing, seeing Bobby Portis and Nico Mirotic playing out there, do we feel like the Bulls need a top 5 pick exactly?
There's one thing the Bulls need, and that's to get rid of Fred Hoiberg and bring in the tank commander, Byron Scott. We are bringing the tank commander so that we can get things back on track. But the thing looking at it with the Bulls is I just pulled up their contracts for at the end of the year. The only guys we're going to lose is basically like Quincy Poindexter. Like LaVine's a restricted free agent, but we're going to obviously bring him back. They'll probably take the club option on Nico, so we're getting everyone back. So it kind of begs the question of, would this pick just be luxury for the Bulls, where it's like, yeah, we'll take any position, any kind of best available player that's right there, because we technically have a starter for every position.
We don't have a small forward. What are you talking about? What are you
we could fit someone in there.
Zip God is not our starter.
We could put Zip God in there. We could also put Valentine there. What I'm saying is we've got guys that could fit there. However, then you're saying what? The guy that you're looking at is Miles Bridges is the guy that we'd look for?
Michael Porter Jr., perhaps?
I mean, if he falls due to his injury. I mean, looking at it right now and looking at some big boards, obviously Ayton's probably gone. I would probably say Ayton, Bagley, Doncic are probably
1, 2, 3 lock.
Yeah, probably at least top 3 locks. Then Porter, if he doesn't really recover from his injury, he's probably going to fall to around that 4 where you guys currently are. 5, 6. You have Porter, small forward. You have Bamba, who's a center. Really, you could draft a center. I mean, with Rolo probably not being a for-sure round. He's playing great.
It all depends on what we do at the trade deadline, too. But the Bulls don't make moves at the trade deadline, so I don't expect it.
Again, you don't know exactly what's going to happen with Rolo. And I don't think Rolo's the long-term answer. You get Bamba, who could be a rim protector down there. He can be a long-term answer there. Trey Young, obviously, we mentioned Chris Dunn's playing out of his mind. You don't really need a point guard. But then again, I mean, Zach LaVine been injured. Maybe you could possibly think about some moves where, I don't know, you exactly look. Trey Young's a possibility. I just want to throw that out there.
It's an upgrade over
Jaren Jackson's 6'11", 240. He's a big kid, so possibly if you felt like you could move him to the center, you could put him there. I mean, there's definitely options out there. Miles Bridges, like you mentioned, Kevin Knox is out there. So there is a ton of options, at least, that could fit for the Chicago Bulls, for that 3 position, because that's pretty much the position of clear need.
Yeah, and that's the thing I just wanted to throw out with Dave bringing that up. If I'm looking, I'm using Tankathon's mock draft as the base.
I don't know why.
If you're saying we need a small forward, then your answer to this question is yes, we need a top 5, because Michael Porter's at 4, Miles Bridges is at number 5.
However,
right now, however, if you're looking, you're saying, you know what? We could grab a Kevin Knox. We can go out there and grab a Mikal Bridges. Then you might be sitting there going, do we really need the top 5 pick? I know the NBA is a lottery, so
the talent difference between a top 5 pick and a 10 to 14 is there's a difference. There's a hit chance that drops.
It all depends.
But there's also the thing with,
like, I mean, Steph Curry was a 7.
I'm saying there's a hit chance. Like the percentage of people who succeed at a high level go down as you go further in the draft.
Yes.
It's just a standard thing.
Yes and no. I mean, like,
the numbers.
Is it skill coming out or is it potential? like the potential skill that they're growing into. I mean, like obviously it differs year from year.
112% potential.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that it doesn't mean it's like a skill difference. I mean, it just means that like you're going to grow into
but
skill.
The amount of people who've hit at like number 1, number 2, number 3, like it's you'll have the outliers, you'll have the Giannis's, you'll have the guys who come in late, like Jimmy Butler. But those are much less often to happen than the for sure guys who occasionally don't happen for you.
Well,
so
right now there's for sure guys, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
At least in the top 3 with Ayton, Bagley, and Doncic right now.
Absolutely.
At least with those guys. And then Porter, I feel like you'd still say he's a for sure thing, but the big question obviously is still that injury.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think right now, I think the Bulls are screwing themselves. And that's the one thing that I wanted to get to, is because obviously, right now, it's early on in the season still, I think, 30 games into the season, something like that. Just 7-23. The Bulls are currently right now. It's not like it's a crazy good record, or 10. The Hawks are The Hawks are 7-23. That's what they're the number 1 team right now. Bulls are 10-20 right now. So obviously they're not even too far away from being the number 1 team again if they're able to lose some more games. And exactly is the direction always been stated that this is the tank for the Bulls? I mean, it wasn't like this was like every fan. Idea was this is going to be the tank year for the Bulls. This is going to be the year that we put everything to just rebuild, completely bring up. We got rid of Jimmy, D Rose is gone. All these players from the past, Noah, all these guys are gone. We have to get young players in. How are you going to do that? You're going to get a top pick. So I think you kind of need a number 1 pick right there. I spit on the fucking mic. I think you kind of need a top pick right now. I think you probably should go for a top 5 pick. I mean, you don't really need it because, again, we look at the 3 players that you have right now: Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, Laurie. Those guys are for sure probably going to be around here for the next 3 to 4 years, 5 years. We don't know exactly with Bobby. We don't know with Nico. Nico might be traded in the next month or so, 2 months, with the way he's been playing. So I think looking at all of it, I think you need it just to really kind of solidify this rebuild because Chris Dunn's been playing great and he was a top 5 pick. But even that first year, he was a little iffy, and he's having a great couple of games right now. But again, we're only 30 games into the season. We don't know if this is the for sure
playing
thing.
with confidence of a much better player.
Exactly. And what if he's just playing with confidence right now, and that's not the actual skill?
Yeah.
And what if he finally goes up against better players, and it's just kind of just destroyed? So I feel like you kind of need it to solidify a for sure building block because you don't know exactly what Zach LaVine's going to bring. Chris Dunn's been good so far. Laurie's been good so far, but I don't look at any of those guys as a number 1 piece for a franchise.
No, I think that's a fair assumption to make. And my concern is, are we going to play ourselves out of that? Because, like you said, they're playing so well. And this is without having LaVine, who was the centerpiece of that trade for Jimmy. So you got to wonder, are we going to have to start, bringing in Campaign to play point guard for us again? Bring us back down to earth. That might be a better option. Because, like you said, if we don't get somebody in like a top 5, top 6 lottery pick here, I don't know if we're going to see that spot again. This opportunity with this much talent, how loaded this draft is. I know the next year's draft does have 3 big guys in there who everybody loves, but right now, this is a can't-miss chunk of talent that you don't want to be just outside looking in on.
But the one thing, too, we said this about last year. I mean, last year was a whole class, too, that were this is a ton of players.
Last year was the deepest draft that we've seen.
I mean, we were always talking about how deep this draft was last year. I mean, we look at players like Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma went 27. He's probably the best player right now. And everyone, I don't think he was on my first-round mock draft last year. I mean, that's things where that draft was so deep, and we're seeing guys make immediate impacts now. Where the year prior, Malcolm Brogdon was the best guy to come out at least right away. Obviously, Brandon Ingram's playing well now. Ben Simmons obviously is fantastic.
Who knew 19-year-olds don't really compete at a high level versus grown-ass men?
Exactly. So we don't know what the talent pool is going to bring next year.
Right.
There's probably going to be some great player
RJ,
out there.
Ball.
Yeah,
I mean that's.
But we don't know exactly what's going to be out there. So at least looking at it, I feel like you can't really miss out on the crop just looking for the next. It's kind of like the Bears last year with Trubisky. Yes, there was Darnold. Yes, there was Rosen. But you don't know what's going to happen next year. You have a guy who you feel like is going to be your franchise now. Go out and get him.
Well, and that's the thing that I think of is I'm kind of on the other side of the Bulls don't need. I wouldn't be upset if we didn't have a top 5 pick. Now, if we didn't have a top 10 pick, that's a different story. If we fell and started winning and competed.
If Zach LaVine comes back.
If you pulled kind of what the Mavericks were doing last year before they had to pull back the tank again.
Or we pull what the Heat did.
I know that each draft is different, and it's not like just because we get one guy, he's going to change the franchise.
Sort of
unless
does
it's
sometimes.
unless it's like LeBron James at number 1, or when you got Anthony Davis, those were number 1s where it's
change a franchise.
But those were
franchise still sucks.
Those were number 1s where it's okay, that's the number one. Like right now,
you could say that with Cat.
Luka's the number one, but there are some people that are like, no, you've got Ayton who should be the number one. You got Bagley who should be the number one. And the thing I look with this Bulls team is, yeah, you mentioned, okay, small forward might be the one position if we're going to go out and draft. But let's say, and I'm using Tankathon again, let's say they fall to 9 where they got Trey Young. We can take Trey Young and then never have to use campaign again.
You're not using campaign, though.
No, I know, but like...
Come on, Chris Dunn's...
We could just cut him completely and have Trey Young be the backup to Chris Dunn. Or what if Chris Dunn...
Campaign's not even a backup
right
now.
Or what if it happens to where you're right, where Chris Dunn, this is just him playing hot right now this year, and then next year he's not the same. Oh, but Trey Young then develops in front of him and then becomes the starter to where I feel like we can get somebody, even through 5 through 10, that could... be beneficial to us. It's just, do you have the faith in Bulls management, Gar Forman, Paxton, to go out and get the guy that'll fit us?
I think with the Bulls, I think with how much youth there is on that team, like we mentioned, obviously Laurie, obviously Levine, Chris Dunn, Portis is still young. It was 2 years ago they drafted him. Mirotic is still fairly young. I think he's 27, 28. You still look at this team. There's still some... David Nwaba is pretty young as well. I mean, there's some young players still on this team. I feel like you can kind of see these positions filling out. You're not going to draft a power forward because, Laurie right now is your guy. Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine were centerpieces of that Jimmy trade. And they were, so far Chris Dunn's been playing well so far. And even if he is, your fourth or fifth option, if he's doing, a lot less than what he's doing right now, but still being able to play great defense, which he's probably still going to be able to do for the next 10 years of his career, and still able to be a nice passer, I think he's still your for sure point guard. And if Zach LaVine comes out and scores 20 like he was able to do with Minnesota, I think you got a for sure shooting guard. So I feel like you got to at least go away from at least potential there and go for a need, and that need's going to be at center, and that need's going to be at small forward. I feel like it's going to be more on position, so you don't really have to worry about getting the right guy. You just have to worry about making sure the positions are right for the Chicago Bulls, and I feel like Gar Pax can probably do
no
that.
longer best available. Now it's best fit.
Well, best available for best fit.
And that's why this all depends on if he falls, or like right now he's in the top 5. That's why if we're in the top 5, I wouldn't be upset if we went with Michael Porter, depending, even if, let's say...
You shouldn't be.
Let's say he doesn't play his first full year, because I look at the 76ers and I go, Ben Simmons didn't play his full year. Fultz hasn't been...
he's going to be back. He's going to play.
But what I'm saying
he's going to play his first year in the NBA.
I'm saying if he doesn't, I wouldn't be upset, because the Sixers are fine, and they've had basically 3 of their prospects miss most of their first year. And then it's like, also, you look at the trade for Zach LaVine, we traded knowing he's not going to be ready day one.
Yeah, but from what I understand is, at least with the back injury that he currently has, he will be back to at least try out for the Combine. So he will be ready to play in September or October, and he'll be ready to go during the summer league. So I don't think you have to worry about that with Portal. I don't think you're going to redshirt him. If maybe that injury persists, then you redshirt him.
I'm just saying,
but I don't think you have to worry about
what if? I'm playing the what if.
But now we're playing the game of let's go with Zach LaVine, who has an injury history. We're going to have Michael Porter with an injury history. Obviously you have to be concerned that your building blocks are now guys who could have relapses in those injuries and will be out again. So I think that kind of has to make you pause about Michael Porter. Yes, he could be a great player, but you have to wonder long-term health effects.
Yeah, let's do this just so we can kind of get more of a clear and concise at least idea of what we're talking about here, like where they will be picking. What do you think the Bulls will end up at? Where do you think the Bulls? Do you think the Bulls can continue this hot streak? Do you feel like the Bulls will, maybe push a little towards more 500? Do you feel like they're still going to be, this is just an amalgamy? This isn't going to be what the Bulls season is. It was just, a weird 8 games that they're, playing the Cavs stuff. They win 7. What are your thoughts at least on this? Is this just a hot team and this is just, kind of a fallacy, or do you feel like this is something that maybe can persist and this can be a team that gets closer to 500?
Can you make any more analogies before we talk, Sean? I'm just waiting.
Go.
The question comes down to, are we going to ship, Nico and Rolo? If we're going to ship those 2, we're going to lose more games. We're going to be in that top, 1 through probably 6 spots in the draft.
Do you think they should?
I think they should, because I think long term, you'll never get a better value for Nico. And Rolo he's a good player, and he has a great motor, and that's valuable in the center position,
especially
in a league right now
team
that needs it.
Yeah.
So I think both those guys have great value, and you should ship them for any talent, any future hopes that you can get, because you're all in on this youth movement, and those are the two of the oldest guys on the team. And yeah, Nico, we've seen this from him is the thing that I keep going back to. I'm like, this is March Nico. This is when he feels like his best. I'm just like, why is it happening now? I don't understand. But you know what? I'm not going to question it because January 15th is the day that he can be moved. And I'm watching that like a hawk. I'm hoping that we're going to make those moves. We're going to move Nico. We're going to move Rolo. We're going to let Zach LaVine take his time coming back. Maybe put him on a minutes restriction so he doesn't, risk injury coming back too soon. Doesn't overextend himself. And I want to watch this team grow over time. I don't want to watch them be the middle of the group. I'm going to be the NBA purgatory of a 35-40 win game team for the next 5 years. That's not what I want to watch out of this team.
That's what we're going to be, though.
But
you do know that,
if we make those trades,
and that's the thing,
we will set ourselves up to be a promising team for the future.
And I'm all with you. Do I want to see that happen? Yes. Do I want to see Rolo and Nico move? But what was it, 2 years ago? I remember having the discussion while I was teaching with my students. They go, hey, will we move Paul Gasol tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, you know what? We're going to get a deal done. I am not biting that hype. Nico will stay. Rolo will stay. They're not going to be moved because all that...
But that's different. Well, that team was closer to making the playoffs than a 10-20 Bulls team.
But still, this...
And that was something where they went out and got Paul Gasol.
This kind of...
Got him as a free agent.
With Garpax and with Reinsdorf's, this is all of the same thing of, holy shit, we're winning games?
People are still showing up regardless.
We're gonna make money, but it's like we're winning games. We can make the playoffs with this team. They have that delusion in their head. I
feel like if they, I think everyone thinks. I don't know.
I don't think they get moved because of management.
I don't think this team is good at all. I think everyone agrees with that. I think this is just a weird.
They're playing above
8 games.
And I don't want people to get it twisted that Ricky thinks the Bulls are going to make the playoffs. I don't. I just think that they're not going to get moved because it's like, oh no, we're actually competing now. I can see this team 7 through 10.
I think Garpax. What do you mean 7 through 10?
It's like
in the draft.
7th pick to 10th pick in the draft at the end of the year.
7 through 10th in the Eastern Conference.
Blake gets us in.
7th pick to 10th pick.
No, I feel you're wrong.
Leaning more towards the I'm thinking the worst. But I can see 9-10. It's like fuck.
Okay, I think you're wrong with that for one reason. I think you're making the wrong assumption of Jerry, and I know I've made this assumption before, but at least looking at the White Sox and what they've done, I know it had to happen with the change of getting rid of Kenny Williams and bringing in Rick Hahn, and there wasn't really that change there in management, but I feel like management knows what they're getting with this team so far, and I feel like they feel like it's an amalgamy. Again, this is 9 games out of a 82-game season. They're playing fantastic basketball, and it was weird. It was really weird. Freaky Friday, pretty much. Two people switching bodies.
They didn't play the worst against the Cavs, even though they lost.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No,
the past 8 games, they look good, and like that they took the Cavs team to fourth quarter. They're playing with confidence. I feel like the skill though is going to overtake them right now. I feel like teams are just kind of shocked right now. They're just not really sure what's going on, and I feel like Jerry, with what he's seen so far with the White Sox, this is something before with the White Sox too, where the White Sox would start off hot. We've seen them past couple of years. They had like a couple good months, but the whole idea was then moving players away from the White Sox and getting value. And I feel like Jerry has that mindset of, we're still making money with the Bulls. People are still coming to see the Bulls. We have the brand. I feel like if people have the ability to come watch this team, like, hey, they're still a fun, exciting team. They're young. They're not that good, but they're still, a fun, exciting team that maybe will win some games every now and then. You get to see Chris Dunn. You get to see Lauri Markkanen. You get to see Zach LaVine when he comes back. You're going to have people to be brought in, and getting rid of Rolo and getting rid of Nico isn't really going to affect those attendance stats. I feel like they're going to go away from them. If they feel like this team cannot win at all, they're going to go away from them. And I feel like it's pretty clear that this team cannot win, especially with the way that they started. I mean, this is a team, 8 games ago, only had 3 wins. I mean, this is not a good team. This is a team playing with confidence right now. They've been impressive, and it's been weird, but I feel like this team is going to be able to go away from that, and I feel like you're going to get the trades that Dave mentioned. You're going to get rid of Nico. You're going to get rid of Rolo. If anybody has any interest in anybody else that's not Lauri, Chris Dunn, or Zach LaVine, they're going to be moved as well. And I feel like Jerry and Garpax are kind of in the mindset of a rebuild, and you're going to get a team that's going to be in the top 5 of this NBA draft.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. However, I look at the schedule. The next 3 are going to be most important because I go, we should lose maybe all 3 of these. And I know the Boston one is kind of because I don't think Kyrie played when we played him on December 11th. But we have beaten Milwaukee in this stretch. We've beaten the Knicks. So I'd be surprised I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls win these next 3, even though I'd love us to go 0-3.
I doubt it. I think that you're not going to win all 3. And I think that, again, this is a team that's playing with confidence right now, but I feel like, especially going up against the Brad Stevens team, they have more skill and they're a better coach team, and they're going to be able to watch what's going on. They're going to be able to take away Chris Dunn's
if we can abuse them on the boards, and if we can
beat them
abuse their
108 to 85, and I know,
so
like I said,
like
Kyrie didn't play.
I mean, the thing is you beat the Celtics because they don't have an elite defender at the 5. Like, Horford's been playing great, yes, but if you can abuse them at the 4 and the 5, and you can contain Kyrie a little bit, you're in good shape.
Laurie's also been hurt. Laurie's also been dealing with back injuries.
The thing is we have 3 power forwards who are all playing really well right now, and Rolo, who defensively has slipped a little, but offensively is doing quite well. Ugly, but well. So I think that, like, we're always a good matchup against the Celtics. I don't expect blowouts, really, but I expect us to play everybody pretty close, which is what you want. It's what you want in a developing team. Lose close games. Like, that's the goal, and I'm like confused because now
we're winning those.
We're winning those games that we should be losing. So I think normalcy will set in. I think that we will make those trades, and I think that because of that we're going to end up getting someone maybe like Ayton, maybe like Porter in the 3-4 slot. I mean, worst case scenario, we fall back a little further, and maybe it's a Bridges, maybe it's a Knox. Who knows? But like, those are the kind of guys, like, we're looking to lock down. Yes, we're getting rid of Rolo, but immediately we want to go get that center who can be a centerpiece in somebody like Ayton, who is a monster, or somebody like Bamba, who is a defender, who can lock down the 5 for us.
Maybe it's just me. I would rather see this team draft a small forward like Porter or Bridges than a big man.
At least right now, let's before I go in, and I'll set a spot where they're picking, and then I'll tell you who's off the board and who they're going to take. All right, that's how we're going to end this segment. At least so far, the Bulls right now are pretty much on pace where Basketball Reference would put them. Expected win-loss is 9-22 right now. They're 10-21, so obviously they're not too far off of that pace right now. And obviously they started off really slow. They looked like a terrible team. Only had 3 wins, and obviously they've been able to come back and storm back. But right now they're one of the worst teams in offensive rating. Defensive rating, they're decent right now. They're around 18th out of 30th. But at least simple rating system, they're one of the worst teams. They're 28th out of 30 when it comes to that. So this team, again, right now is overperforming in the past 9 games. So I think that's definitely off. I think you're seeing 2 extremes right now. You're seeing 2 extremes in 9 games, and then the other games you're seeing an extreme of really bad. I feel like they're going to balance out, but they're still going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA. And I feel like you're going to get a team that ends up in the top 3. All right, so this is going to be a top 3 pick for the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
This is what I'm feeling, at least. If people disagree, let us know in the comments. We love hearing you guys talk in the comments down below. So if you feel like the Bulls are going to possibly be outside of the top 10, in the top 10, let us know in the comments below. But I'm going to put the Bulls at 3 right now. Off the board is going to be DeAndre Ayton and Marvin Bagley going to the Atlanta Hawks, and then going to the Bagley and Ayton are off the board. Memphis and Atlanta takes them respectively. Who are the Bulls taking at 3 then? In your mind, who should they go to?
Michael Porter.
So Doncic is on the board, Porter's on the board.
I go Michael Porter.
And why?
Why would you go Porter over
For
Doncic?
me, I go, well, and here's the thing. Like, with if we're going Doncic, it's, okay, what do we do with him, Levine? Do we move Levine then to the 3? Like,
Doncic will be a 3.
I would go with I'm going with the potential of Michael Porter over Doncic. Plus, for me personally, in most international players, don't trust them. I've been burned before in mock drafts where it's like, this guy's going to be so great, and then they come over and they're nothing.
Easily the best player that I've scouted, at least international. And
he's like Manu on steroids. Like, I love Doncic, and I think that he is going to be fantastic. Yes, there's always the knocks on him for being a foreign player, for not being as quick as somebody like Porter would be. But at the same time, he comes in with being a professional since age 14, pretty much. Being able to play against grown men that entire time, being one of the best players in Europe, and being developed as much as he has been, he's still growing, and he's an accurate shooter. He's a great passer, great basketball IQ. Like, the only thing that you could ask is that he somehow becomes a quicker player.
That's not going to happen, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
At least final thoughts, because the camera's about to run out on us. Final thoughts on this.
I just hope we don't get Bagley.
Why? Just one word. Why Doncic is over Porter?
Better player. Period.
That's 2 words. One word. Why Porter's better than Doncic?
I am gonna go with the fact that I know
that's not one word.
One word.
One word. Are you guys
one
deaf?
word. Potential.
He did it better than you.
He said a whole sentence first.
That's true. Let us know who.
But I gave one
who would
word.
You take, Sean?
I take Porter. I think Porter's a better player.
All right.
Bingo.
That's not anything that you said. I think he's got more potential. I think he's quicker. I think he's better for the NBA. And also looking
got
at
size
that,
on his side.
looking at that team too. I mean, pairing Chris Dunn, pairing the athleticism of Zach LaVine, pairing the athleticism of Michael Porter, and then also putting Laurie outside on the 3-point range, and also having his ability to at least be more of just that player. I feel like it'd be better. Anyways, let us know who you think the Bulls should take if they are in the top 3. Should they go Porter? Should they go Doncic? Are you a big Trey Young fan? Mohamed Bamba? Let us know in the comments down below. What do you think the Bulls are going to end up doing at the end of the season? Where will they be placed in the NBA draft? And who do you think they should ultimately go to?